Your first place Seattle Mariners grabbed themselves another W tonight as they defeat the Kansas City Royals 6-2. They improved to 23-19 on the season, and they remain in first place in the American League West. What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into the Seattle Mariners post-game recap. As always, do me a favor, smash that like button. If you're lurking or new here, please hit subscribe. Again, just two free, easy ways to really help support my channel. And again, I cannot thank you all enough for all the likes, comments, subscriptions. Truly means the world to me. I wake up feeling blessed every day. And it's all because of you guys. Otherwise, I'm just talking into the abyss to nobody, which I would still do. Still talk about this team, but you guys have turned something from just a little fun hobby into something that's much more serious for me now. So thanks to every single one of you for all of your support and liking and watching these post-game recaps. Let's talk real quickly about a trade that went down. During the game, the Mariners sent recently DFA'd reliever Tyson Miller to the Chicago Cubs for infielder Jake Slaughter. Slaughter is playing in AAA for the Iowa Cubs. He's 27 years old, so not much of a prospect necessarily, but he's putting up some pretty good numbers. Primarily a second baseman. He's played a little bit of everywhere on the infield for the Cubs. For the Iowa Cubs, I should say. Some numbers here courtesy of Jake from Raise the Trident. If you've not subbed to his channel, please go ahead and do so. Right-handed hitter, 131 WRC plus this year, 5 homers, 10 stolen bases in 111 at-bats. So some good infield depth, and with Jorge Polanco leaving with a hamstring injury today, I will see if there's any updates on that before we get out of here. Every little piece of infield depth can certainly help this team right now. Listen, I talked about it a little bit. I didn't really get DFAing Tyson Miller when you have a guy like Cody Bolton that has options to be sent down. But I also do not think for a second that Tyson Miller was the difference between this team being, legitimately winning something or struggling or anything like that. So this team has done such a good job with relievers and bringing guys in that just, they find something, they find a pitch that works or something, and they get these relievers that have just been dominant. So, not anything I lost sleep over. And they get, a return for, they get a player in return that could provide some value to this team. Like I said, especially we'll see if there's any updates on Jorge Polanco here. But yeah, good to see. And then with the Polanco injury, leaves with the hamstring tightness. Listen, the good news is JP Crawford's on the way back. He'll begin a rehab assignment either tonight or tomorrow. And then Scott mentioned him and Dom Canzone should join the team on the next road trip. So, that's going to help because then Rojas or Demo can play second. Urias can play third. So again, if it's something minor for Polanco, you should be able to survive that. But, just the injuries kind of piling up for this team. And it seems like they're finally catching up, meaning the Mariners catching up to getting fully healthy. And then boom, another injury. So before I get out of here, I will check the stats of Polanco, see if Scott has any updates on that. Now, back to the game that the Mariners win 6-2. Really nice performance overall. Again, something I've been saying a lot more recently with this team, a complete game. Early in the year when they were finding ways to get wins, it didn't feel like a lot of complete games. It felt like the pitching was just kind of carrying them. And not every game is going to be, an immaculate victory where the offense, defense, special teams, offense, defense, and pitching are all clicking together there. You're going to have wins where you just get a dominant pitching performance. You're going to have wins where the offense just blasts the other team and you win 15-13. It happens, right? So they're not always going to be just, everybody top to bottom contributing. But recently the Mariners have gotten a lot more of those, and you can see the offense starting to come together. In fact, we talked about it, since that Red series, I don't know where they rank now, but, they were like 5th or 6th in WRC plus. They've had some clinkers in there, some stinkers in games that haven't been great. But you look at the A series. Yeah, Saturday stunk, frustrating offensive night. Friday, they put up 8 runs. Sunday, they put up 8 runs. Today, they put up 6. And against the pitching staff and the Royals here, that has been solid. It has been much better. They don't miss a ton of bats, but Brady Singer, running a 2.6 or 2.3 ERA, somewhere in that range, a FIP in the 3s. He keeps the ball on the ground. Tough to elevate against him. The Mariners were able to do that, drive him out of the game, and then add a couple insurance runs against the Royals bullpen, which has been much improved from last year. So listen, we know the starting pitching staff and the bullpen are fantastic for the Mariners. Doesn't mean they don't need to add a reliever. We'll get into that a little bit here. But we know that's going to be the strength of this team. And you hope that behind them, the offense can do exactly what we've seen the last, few weeks. Like, again, there's been moments where we've been frustrated. I was frustrated on Saturday. There were some moments in Minnesota that were frustrating. But listen, at the end of the day, you got 2 out of 3 from the A's with 2 great offensive performances. Minnesota's just a freak of nature right now. You just caught them at the wrong time. And you still managed to get a win. I'm not saying that was a good series or anything, but you still found a way to get a win against a team that's just playing, gangbusters right now. And then a Royals team comes in here, like I said, that's playing really good ball. And their pitching staff's taken a huge step forward. And this was a game I was a little worried about because Brady Singer's been really good. And I kind of felt like the Royals might be a bit of a tough matchup for George Kirby. Not that Kirby isn't capable of shutting them down. Kirby's capable of shutting anybody down. But the Royals are one of the most aggressive teams in the strike zone, and they don't strike out. And Kirby, nobody's in the strike zone more than George Kirby. So I thought we'd see a lot of, pitches out over the plate that the Royals would have a chance to maybe do some damage with. Not, a lot of home runs or doubles, but just singles falling in, some balls in the gap, and might have a chance to give Kirby some fits. Let me be clear, I wasn't predicting George Kirby wouldn't pitch well. I have the utmost faith in every pitcher on this staff to shut down any team in baseball. But it had potential to be a tough matchup for George. And I thought he did a real nice job hitting the corners. He was a little more nibblish tonight in a good way. He wasn't just center of the zone there. I thought he did a nice job hitting the corners to a lineup that is really pesky, a really pesky Royals lineup. Yeah, there's some guys underperforming and everything, but like I said, they don't strike out a lot and they will swing at balls in the zone. And when you do that, you put the ball in play, things can happen. So I thought Kirby really, really an impressive outing today for the Seattle Mariners. And like talk about, the offense does its job. Bullpen gets a little shaky with Stanek, but Munoz, and boy, is Andres Munoz back. Listen, Munoz in 2023 was good. I did a video on it saying Munoz was fine. And it was just more of a reaction to people that were like, oh, Munoz stinks. He shouldn't be the closer and all this stuff. And I was like, no, he's still pretty good. But he wasn't 2022 Munoz. 2022 Munoz was like best reliever on the planet. We're getting back to 2022 Munoz where he's coming in and I'm starting to get those feelings of like, yeah, this game's over. Munoz is going to lock it in. Maybe some controversy if Munoz still should have pitched the 9th. He comes into the 8th with the tying run at the plate. That's the right decision there. Should the Mariners have taken him out for the 9th with the 4-run lead? Initially I thought, yeah, just go to Trent Thornton here. But I thought Mike Blowers actually made a really good point. He's already ramped up. And he's probably not going to be available tomorrow anyways because he pitched on Sunday and pitched today. So regardless, Munoz was probably going to be down Tuesday as well. And here's the thing. If you bring in another reliever, let's say you go to Trent Thornton and Thornton struggles. Maybe first 2 guys reach base. Anything. Right away, boom, tying run is now in the on-deck circle. You don't have an Andres Munoz in the pen to get loose to put out the fire. So you're going to have to rely on Trent Thornton or go to a Gabe Spire. This is, again, where the Brash and Santos injury hurts. If they were healthy and they didn't pitch in that situation, you probably go to one of them in the 9th and get Munoz, the inning off. Although, again, I think Munoz would be down tomorrow anyway, so I think might as well let him finish it. But so when I took a step back from it, I actually think it was the right call. And the Royals are pesky. They will. We saw in the 8th inning, how they can be. So just let Munoz finish it off and get the W. Logan hopefully on his game tomorrow, and maybe you don't need him. We'll see what ends up happening tomorrow. We'll let tomorrow happen when it happens. But for right now, let's enjoy the Mariners win. Let's go to the box score real quick here. George Kirby, 7 innings. That's right. Kirby pitched 7 innings, 3 walks, no runs, no earned. 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs, no earned runs, no walks, 6 Ks. Did hit 2 batters. I'll talk about that in just a second. And he throws 101 pitches. I'm assuming that's close to a season high. I knew he threw a lot in the second game of the season against Boston. I think he threw over 100. But, good to see Scott rewarding Kirby and sticking with him in that 7th inning, letting him pitch a little bit longer, and it pays off. Kirby rewards him with 7 strong innings. And listen, I talked about it like, well, Jay, I thought you were okay with Kirby coming out at 85, 90 pitches. Every game is different. If Kirby was good to go 7th, I have no problem with Scott letting him pitch the 7th here. But not every game is the same. Not every pitching performance is the same. There's also games where guys throw 92 pitches and they had a lot of traffic, and they just didn't quite have their stuff wasn't as sharp, and you want to go the bullpen a little bit quicker. So it's not a matter of like, I think, oh, you have to take him out here, or, oh, you know, I'm fine with taking him out, therefore you can't leave him in other instances. No, every game is different. And I don't think it's a wrong decision to always take him out. That doesn't mean that there aren't some moments where I go, hey, maybe should have left him in. You're going to get some games here as we get into the summer months, August, September, where, yes, you might need to start to go maybe one more inning than he's comfortable doing. There are some moments like, hey, it's professional sports. You got to go out there and you got to, you got to give a little bit more than maybe what you have in the tank. Your tank may be on E, but we need 10 more pitches out of you, whatever it may be. But not on May 13th or whatever today is, I think May 13th. So, if they deem that he's at 88 and they think he's at the end of his rope, that may be the case. Tonight he wasn't, and he was able to go 7 innings and get it done. So I'm fine with it both ways. Each game presents different opportunities. It's not always the same thing, game to game. So it's going to be managed differently. Kirby was fantastic though, and again against a lineup that I thought might give him some fits, but he was fantastic. Stanek 2/3 of an inning, 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned, 1 strikeout. Listen, I thought Mitch Haniger had some rough moments there in the 8th inning. Let me pull up the play-by-play for the 8th actually real quick, because I kind of want to talk about it. And here we go. All plays. Let's get to the 8th. That's bottom of the 8th, top of the 8th. Miguel Garcia singled on a line drive to Mitch Haniger. I don't want to say Mitch could have gotten to that. I mean, he wasn't really close, but I don't know. Maybe he could have. I still don't think he played it all that well. I don't know. Like, it hits a hit. It is what it is. But thought maybe Mitch could have made a play on that. I mean, I'd have to see it again. I could be way off on that. Bobby Witt grounded out. Pasquantino, solid single. Got Perez to strike out. And then Michael Massey doubles. Listen, it was a solid hit by Massey. And that's on Ryan Stanek for giving up the line drive hit. But then you got Mitch and Julio not communicating well out there. The ball rolls to the wall and 2 runs score on it. Again, doesn't prove to, be an issue for the Mariners, but maybe a little bit. It forced you to use Munoz. Maybe if you get that out there, Ty hits the home run, you don't have to use Andres Munoz in this game. Stanek's not off the hook. He gave up the double, but every time a ball is hit to right field that's not caught, I feel like we're waiting 20 seconds for Mitch to get the ball in. I love Mitch Haniger. One of my favorites. No, he should not be off this roster. He is still one of the 26 best players on this team. But my gosh, does he need to sit a little bit more? And getting Dominic Canzone back is going to help that. No, it is not Scott Service's fault that he's out there playing. You've dealt with the Canzone injury. Even the JP injury hurts because Dylan Moore has to play shortstop primarily. So you are a short and outfielder right now. And Luke Raley's having to play every day pretty much for Canzone. They've even put Rojas in left field a little bit. When Canzone comes back, especially against righties, I think you're going to see more Luke Raley, Dom Canzone outfields. Now, to be honest, I don't think Canzone's a great defensive outfielder either. I think he's a little more probably capable than Haniger, but it should give Mitch some time to rest a little bit. I don't know why I paused so much in between that. Get some days off, because we've seen when Mitch gets days off, comes back and the bat seems pretty good. A couple days off seems to be doing Mitch Haniger some good. And then you can play him against lefties. You can even DH him occasionally to give Mitch Garver a day off. I'm not saying you never play him against righties or anything like that either, but you could really limit those at-bats and get more value out of Mitch Haniger. And I am not much of a person for lineup construction. At the end of the day, good teams hit, bad teams don't. I know it's simplifying it, but I mean, I think as Mariner fans, we break these things down a lot more, than they really probably need to be broken down. We don't look at other teams and go, oh man, they lost because their lineup was not done right. Anyways, my point here is, as someone that's not big on lineup construction, move Mitch Haniger down. Mitch Haniger should not be getting the 5th most plate appearances in this lineup. Luke Raley's hitting better. Mitch Garver's hitting better. Listen, Ty France is frustrating, but Ty's hitting better. Mitch should be hitting 7th or 8th. And it's not, like I said, I don't think that's the difference between the Mariners being great and, good offense or a bad offense or anything like that. I just think that, Mitch Haniger's struggling, and I do not want Mitch Haniger getting the fifth most, as I got something on my shoulder there, sorry about that, the fifth most at-bats on the lineup. He should be getting less at-bats. It's just that simple for me. I get him playing right now. I do. But in general, it's time to move him down, and I'm looking forward to getting Canzone back out there. And it should help Mitch Haniger. Get him more days off. He'll be healthier and hopefully ready to rock and roll. Ryan Stanek, again, Stanek's kind of in that same category of Mitch Haniger for me. Do I think he should be off the roster? No. I think Stanek's probably been a little bit better than his ERA would indicate. It's 4.73, but he's below some guys for me now. I don't think you can keep using Ryan Stanek as your top setup man. Now, again, what did I say about Mitch? Some of it is injury-related issues where there's no other options right now. Same thing a little bit with the bullpen. You just lost Taylor Saucedo. Is there a video that I have not brought up Brash and Santos? Well, we're doing it again. Brash and Santos are out. So you're limited the back end of your bullpen. Do you trust Cody Bolton? No. Trent Thornton? I think Thornton's better than Stanek, but I certainly understand that Thornton isn't someone that you're fully trusting as an eighth inning guy. Spire hasn't been very sharp his last few outings. Spire's, I think, better than Stanek, but again, it's not like Spire's been completely on his game. And then who else am I missing in the bullpen right now? Who else do you have down there? Bizzardo hasn't shown it yet to be an eighth inning guy, so I get it, right? It's one of the reasons why I think this team needs to acquire a reliever. And a more higher leverage back end guy. Hopefully we can get Santos back in July. That'd be a great trade deadline addition to say, hey, we're getting Gregory Santos back in there. I'm being a bit facetious about the trade deadline. I know he's on the roster right now, just in case. There's always somebody out there going, he's on the roster. Like, that's my point. It's like getting him at the trade deadline if he comes back in July. But also maybe looking at some other guys out there to bridge that gap. I don't think Stanek should be off the roster, but I would like to see him in more of a reduced role. I think the Mariners would too. They're just in a tough spot with it right now. Listen, let's go through the lineup here real quick. Josh Rojas, 1 for 4. How about that fan? The fan catches back-to-back foul balls on, I think, back-to-back pitches. Getting 2 foul balls in a game has got to be ridiculous odds. Getting 2 in the same at-bat is absurd. Getting 2 on back-to-back pitches, that's lottery type stuff right there. So unfortunately, that guy probably wasted his good juju on getting the foul balls and not playing the lottery. I'm just kidding. If you're watching this, go play the lottery, man. That was really cool to see. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. That was during the Rojas at bat. That's what made me think of it. Rojas gets a base hit again. Every time I look, Rojas has done something. Is 1 for 4 amazing? No. But again, just finds a way on base every game. Julio, 1 for 4. I actually thought Julio had an okay day at the plate. I know 1 for 4 isn't great, but he had a pretty solid line drive in his first at-bat against Singer, where he worked a full count, had a line drive to left. It was caught. 1, it was good to see Julio work the count full. 2, it was good to see Julio elevate the ball against a ground ball heavy pitcher, and Julio was really starting to elevate the ball a lot. And even the hit he had, kept his hands in, nice little inside-out swing on a pitch that's given him a ton of fits this year. Really good to see. Julio looks like he's coming out of it. I know, again, today, 1 for 4, not super impressive, but he looks the part. He's starting to look like Julio. So I thought he was fine today. Polanco was 1 for 2 with a base hit and a walk. Nice game for Jorge Polanco, reaching base twice. His hit led to the Cal Raleigh single that made it 3-0. Hopefully everything's okay with the hamstring. Let's see if I can find something here real quick while we're talking about Polanco. Hopefully it's just more of a precautionary thing and that he is okay. Let's see if maybe Shannon Dreyer's got something here. And apparently I can't. There she is. And anytime I'm on video trying to search people, I can't see it. Nope, nothing from Dreyer. Maybe Divish has got something here on it. Let's see. Not seeing anything yet. Let me just search Jorge Polanco and let me see if anything comes up. Sorry, I know this is like not exactly what you guys come here for, but I just want to see if there's any updates. I don't think we're going to find anything out, but maybe there is something. Nope, just seeing that he left with hamstring tightness. Don't want to speculate. I mean, it could be very minor, and he could just miss the rest of the series. Could be something worse where he misses some time. I don't know until I hear anything. I'm not going to speculate on it. Shame, because nice game for Polanco today. Had some really good at-bats, and you just hate to see it right after that happens. Luis Urias, 0 for 1, struck out in his only plate appearance, and he dropped a pop-up. That was in the 7th inning with Kirby on the mound. Kirby got in a little trouble in the 7th, but worked out of it. The big dumper 2-for-4 just continues to stay hot. A double and another hit that should have been a double, but ended up being a single. Blanco kind of dropped the ball out there in center field. Tough play. I mean, a play he should have made, but definitely a hit for Cal. But Polanco had to hold up because he was on first base. So Cal only gets a single out of it, but a nice game for Cal Raleigh today, as always. Mitch Haniger 0-for-4. Luke Raley is red hot. 3-for-4, 3 RBIs. He has the RBI single. He has the 2-run home run, and he has another hit in the 8th inning, right before the Ty France home run. Good to see Luke Raley coming alive. We've been seeing it for a couple weeks. I've talked about it, but now the numbers are starting to reflect it. And it's not just, Luke Raley's had a couple where we have to go, okay, look at these couple weeks numbers. They're good. And I'm not saying that's wrong. We should. Luke Raley's been playing really well, but now the overall numbers are starting to rise a little bit. And, we're going to need to see a lot more Luke Raley here when Canzone comes back. Like I said, I want to see Canzone, Raley in the outfield against right-handers. Even some at-bats at first base is fine to give Ty a day off or two or something like that. So Luke Raley on an absolute tear. He broke the trident. Luke, come on, my man. But the Mariners still scored 4 runs after that, so I don't think there's any jinx going on with the trident being broken. I'm sure it'll be fixed for tomorrow. Mitch Garver 0-for-4 at a tough game. Ty France 2-for-4 with the 2-run home run. Okay, let's talk about Ty for a little bit. First of all, good for Ty France. And he also should have had a walk. He swung at ball 4 in that bad. That would have been nice to see him on base 3 times. Listen, Ty France doing well is good for the Seattle Mariners. Do I want to see an upgrade at first base? Yeah, I'm not 100% convinced that Ty is going to be the answer. The Savant page aside, which actually is starting to fade a little bit blue on us there with Ty. But right now, there's nobody to trade for. At least it's going to be a huge impact bat. It's going to take a few weeks or months for us to really see serious trades. The only thing you'd see right now is like the Mike Fords of the world being picked up. He was signed by the Reds last week, so he's off the market. But that's what you'd get right now. The best thing for the Seattle Mariners at this moment is Ty France being good and doing what he did tonight. Solid line drive base hit. Again, would have been nice to see that walk and see him on base 3 times, and then the 2-run home run to break the game open. So that's what's best for the Mariners right now. Maybe in a couple months, acquiring a first baseman or doing something to require an outfielder. Luke Raley plays first base. I don't know. That may be what's best eventually. But right now, those trades just aren't going to happen yet. Like I said, right now you're acquiring Jake Slaughters of the world. Maybe listen, we know the Marlins traded Luis Arraez. Not saying there's no moves to be made, but more than likely that's going to be a couple months down the road. So right now, let's let Ty France hit. Let's hope Ty France hits, not you know what I mean? Let's hope he continues to hit and comes out of this a little bit and it's also tough because it's just with Haniger struggling, you still got some guys now. Polanco going to be out. I know Polanco's position doesn't really affect Ty France, but it just means, Demo's got to play more there. So so Demo can't play the outfield. Rayleigh's got to be out there, so he can't play first base. So it does affect a lot of things. So the best thing right now is just continuing to hope Ty gets out of it. Dylan Moore 1-for-4 had the double. Thought he hit a couple other balls hard. Demo really did a solid job filling in for J.P. Crawford. Cannot say enough about the job Dylan Moore has done. And truthfully, I hope he gets a lot more at bats still even when JP comes back, whether it's in the outfield. We might need Dylan Moore at second base here. We'll see what ends up happening with Polanco, but nice game for Demo. Great game all around. A really complete game. Outstanding starting pitching. Stanek a little shaky, but Munoz locks it down. So you have one of your aces. You have your relief ace locking it down. And you have an offense put up some really nice at-bats. That's Brady Singer's probably worst start of the year. That's only the second time this year he's given up more than 2 runs. Now, he only walked 1. He still struck out 6. The Mariners only had 1 walk in general and struck out 10 times. Again, you do this, the strikeouts are okay. Again, I'll point out the strikeouts are probably more of an aesthetic issue. Yes, I want the ball put in play more, but they did that tonight. They countered it with putting the ball in play against the Royals. And Singer's been outstanding. He's got to keep the ball on the ground. The Mariners elevated it, and they scored more runs off of him than any other team has done this. I think Toronto scored 5 or 6, but the second most that any team has scored against Singer this year. They made him throw 108, 109 pitches. They spit on some good pitches. They worked his pitch count. A real nice offensive performance for the Mariners. I thought they had some more runs out there. And I don't mean that as a diss. I actually mean that as a compliment. I actually thought they could have gotten a few more. If Polanco had maybe known that, like, let's say Blanco maybe more obvious wasn't going to catch it, I think you get more runs that inning with Polanco probably maybe being at third and Cal at second. And you really break the game open there in the third or fourth inning or whatever that had happened. So, yeah, really solid performance for the Mariners. I thought they hit the ball really well. I'm going to check the Savant page. I want to see what the expected batting average was for them tonight. And then I will go ahead and get out of here. I'm just curious what it was. Expected batting average, 324. There you go. Royals was 178. 324 is outstanding. All 5 of the hardest hit balls tonight were from the Mariners. Cal, Raley, Cal, and Raley. That's actually funny. It was all Cal and Luke Raley. So, listen, the Mariners put some really good swings on the ball. That was a really nice offensive performance. That actually might have been their best. I don't know. One walk, you'd like to see more, but they did a good job of, like, they didn't work a lot of walks, but they forced Singer to throw a lot of pitches. So they still were able to work the count without drawing the walks. Real nice performance for the Mariners. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. They remain in first place. Texas loses. Oakland loses. Houston does win. And I think the Angels lost. Who cares? The Angels aren't going to. Angels are bad. Why am I even paying attention to them in the standings? No offense to any Angels fans. I do not mean that as an attack. Trust me, there's plenty of years where I would wonder why anybody would check a Mariners box score. So, but the Mariners remain in first place, playing good baseball. And beating a good team. One thing last year they struggled with was beating good teams. They're doing it more this year. So really, really nice win. Logan Gilbert on the bump tomorrow against Michael Wacha. Let's get another W, get a series win. And yeah, have a great night, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. And as always, go Mariners.